Magandang araw. Ako si Kuya Code. Today we'll be continuing to learn Python through coding challenges on Hackerrank. Today's video will just be an introduction to dictionaries. Just like in real life, a Python dictionary is a way to store uh, organized data in key value pairs, where the key is like the word and the value is like the definition. So because keys are hashed, looks up are very fast. I did cover hashing a little bit in my previous video called tuples. But basically, key value pairs means that the data is clear and organized. They are unique, so just like a set, you can't have more than one key within the same dictionary. And it is easy to find and update items in dictionaries, and they have some very useful methods. Just a quick review: if I make a list is like this, where you can just do 1, 2, 3. We also have the tuple with this, like that. There's a tuple. A set is like that. There's a set. And then in this case, a dictionary uses these ones. So this is my dictionary. We'll just call this person. And the inside here, we have key value pairs. So the key, for example, is name. You need to have a colon to separate the key and the value. The name will be, I don't know, 1, comma, to separate all the different properties. We can also have age. I'll just do capitalize. 1 is 30. Country, the Philippines. What else should we add? Let's say city, Manila. So this is, of course, these are strings. This is an integer. We could also have weight, 70.5 kilograms. I won't add the kg part, but there's a float. Now what about a boolean? We can have, is student. That's funny that it's suggested is single. In this case, maybe 1 is not single. Is student a boolean, which is true or false? We'll just put false because he's not a student. Need the comma there. And we could even put a list like children names. So let's have Jasmine, Miguel, Richard, and we'll have one more, Carlos. So there's our dictionary. So simply enough, we can just print the dictionary like this. So it does print it out down here, as you can see, with all the data. We could also loop through it. So for key in person, we'll print out, actually we'll do key and then the person at key. So this is the same way that you would do it with a list, where instead of putting in just the index of like 0 to whatever to get the specific item in the list, you can just throw in the keys. So this is just iterating through every single key and then printing out the value, and then this prints out the key itself. So as you can see, name is 1, age 30, weight 70.5, country the Philippines, city mail, etc. And let's say you wanted to get a specific one, you could even just print out, we won't do children names, we'll just do regular name. I'll just turn this off for now. And this just gets out literally only the value of the key that you entered. So of course, if you put in age, it'll print out that. If you put in children names, it'll print out a list of names, etc. Of course, you could also probably do this. Rather than saying just person, you could also put in, you want to iterate through, this will be, let's say, name, and then you'll print out. So this is, because this returns a list, you can use the for loop to iterate through the list of names and print out each individual name. So if we print that out, then you just have a list of names. And now what about adding information? Let's say, person, we can add children ages. All we have to do is literally make a key for uh, whichever new key you wanted to add. You can just literally index, even though it doesn't actually exist in here yet. Doing this will add it. So for the ages, it'll be 9.5. We'll do 8, 6, and then 3.5. So these are the names. And now, of course, if we were to, that is added. So if we print this out, now we can see that the dictionary also includes the children ages, which are down here. So there's that. And for changing information, we could just do person. Let's say maybe he gained a little bit of weight. So now he's 80 kilograms. So if we were to do that and then print it off, now it changed it to 80 because originally it was 70.5. So the thing is, though, this is a way to add in a new key value pair, but it's also the exact same way to change a key value pair. So in some cases, you might want to make sure you're checking if it exists so you don't accidentally overwrite something that exists if you meant to add it as a new or vice versa or whatever. So in that case, you could just do the same thing as other data structures. So, for example, if um, Mary is not in person uh, children names, so if Mary doesn't exist in this list here, well, then we can just simply add Mary to the list. And let's say if we add Mary to the list, maybe it's a newborn, so we could also add a 0 to indicate that Mary is 0 years old because it's a newborn baby. So there's that. We could also delete information. So let's say we don't need the student one anymore. We can just delete person. We don't want to delete the children ages. Delete is student. Copy that one there. Now we're deleting student. So if we were to print this out, now you see student is no longer there, and before student was there. And just like all the other properties, you could do this to change the city. So maybe the city, they moved to Cayenne de Oro. And then something else we can do with this information. Average. This specific thing isn't necessarily related to dictionaries, but you can still do the same type of information with a dictionary. So this is a list of all the children ages, which is right here, a bunch of integers, or I guess technically some of these are floats, or the ones that have decimals. So we can sum all these up, and if you divide it by the length of this list, which in this case there's 4, but don't forget though that we added 1, so there should be 5. This will just give you the average, so this will be average age like that. So now we print it out. So the average age is 5.4 years. And that's basically it for the basics of dictionaries. When you have programs like Visual Studio, you could do person dot, and then you have all these things. So you could update something. You can just delete everything. This let's see here, pop. If the key is not found, returns the default. Otherwise, it gives you an error. So if you pop is usually removing one off the top, or sometimes off the last one in the item. So let's just say if we pop let's see here, maybe city. We'll just pop the city and then we'll just print it out again. So now city no longer exists. It's kind of similar to using delete. It's just a different way of doing it. Of course, if we do it like this, then you get an error because city 22 doesn't actually exist in the dictionary. So that's it for that. So now we'll just jump into the Hackerrank problem. So the provided code stub will read a dictionary containing key value pairs of name marks for a list of students, print the average of the marks array for the student name provided, showing two decimal places. So similar to this, some of the code we have here. Let's see here. This n is already the the amount of names that are in the dictionary, or the amount of elements or items that are in the dictionary. And this is the name that we're looking for, and then we have to take all of these values and sum them up and print it out. So first thing we'll do, we'll have to make our dictionary. So student marks equals a new dictionary. That's a list dictionary. And then for this is just an empty space. In this case, you don't necessarily need I for an index and like you would a list, because we're going to be using the name for getting access to the elements. So we don't necessarily need to put I in here. We can just leave it like that. For I in range n, of course. So there's going to be 3. So the input is a string, which is a name, and also a list of values. So we need to the input, or sorry, the line gives us 2 different things. So the first one is going to be the name, of course. We can separate that by comma, and then we can do line to get the values here, but we actually put a asterisk here to say get all of these, like everything else after the name will be for this next will be added to the line variable. So now we just equals input, which automatically are strings, dot split, so then we can get that. And let's see here. Now because these default are strings, we need to change that into numbers. So I'll just use something similar I've done in previous examples. So we'll just make a list called scores, like that, making sure that's a list. But we're going to use something called map, which iterates through all of the strings that are in line. So we'll put line, but for each line we need to do something, so we can pass in a function, but in this case you can just pass in float. So that just means that for every string that's in the line list or line array, we're going to change it to a float, and then map will return all those new float values, and then you make it into a list. So then score will be a list of floats, or numbers. So now we have all the scores in a list, and then student marks name, which is the key, and the value is going to be simply the scores. So that's it for that. And then as an example, we can just print student marks. Didn't mean to do that. And we can run that just to see what we get. So now we have a dictionary. We have the first name, the scores, the second name, the scores, the third name, and the scores. So now what we have to do is get the input for the query name. Query name equals input. It's already a string, so that's fine. And now we need to just get the value of the name that we're looking for. So we can just simply do, these are the numbers, student marks, and then we can pass in the key query name, and this is going to just simply return the value. So if the name is the key, then all the numbers or all the scores are the value. So this will return the value. So these scores will be saved in this nums variable, and then simply we can just print them out. But as the problem mentioned, we have to print the average. So the average is just basically you sum up all the values in the list, and then you divide that by the number of values in the list. So average equals we sum up all the values in the list. we divide that by the length of the values in the list, and we just print out average. So let's run that. Oops, I forgot to delete this. Run it again. So it gave us the right answer, but one thing that it mentions, it has to be 2 decimal places, and by default it just only does 1. So there is, what we can do is format the, we can format the variable to various formats. So because we need to have it 2 decimals instead of 1, what we can do is this. We will quotations, and then in the format we'll put colon, we'll put .2 for 2 decimal places, and then F to say that it's a float, and then we need to basically substitute this value with whatever we want to format, and then it'll just replace the value with the formatted data. So we can just do dot format, and then inside of that we can just put the variable that we want, and that should change this float into a float that has 2 decimal places instead of just 1. So we are good there, and now let's go ahead and submit this. Okay, and we are good to go. So if you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe for more coding challenges. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions or suggestions for more future videos. Hey, look, we just solved all the basic challenges in Python. I got interrupted. Let me here see, unsolved. So I think next time we'll just work on strings, swap case, split join, what's your name mutations, etc. So I will be planning on making videos for all these as well. So like I said, if you have any comment or questions, let me know in the comments below. And please give me suggestions for any future videos aside from these. So see you next time on Kuya Code. Paalam.